I'm going to call on Deputy Smith, and then will be followed by Deputy Fitzmaurice, okay, and Deputy Nolan.
Thank you very much, Cathaoirleach. Thank you, Minister, to yourself and your officials for coming here today to discuss this hugely important plan, which, as you know, is to I suppose, do us, if you like, until 2040. That's why it's so important. And like Deputy Penrose there, I think he's right in that our local authorities, and you say it yourself, they're very much at the cold face of this. And I think, to be very honest and truthful about it, local authorities right across the country are concerned with what is published so far. And I'm, if you give me the opportunity here, just going to outline some of the concerns I would have pertain to my own constituency of Cavan and Monaghan. I do think that there is an onus here for positive discrimination in favour of the North and Western region, particularly in the border counties. It is necessary and an explicit requirement of the National Planning Framework to redress the economic and political growth imbalances and to ensure that all regions in the state benefit fairly from the economic upturn and increased government investment, and thus delivering a more regional balanced development. Minister, I have a map here with me, and it's one I always refer to. It was produced to us as local representatives by Monaghan County Council, and it's been it has come into so many of the various debates here in the Chamber, but I think it does, and I always say a picture can paint 1,000 words. Well, it explicitly just shows the motorway, which Deputy Loughlin referred to at the beginning, that we have from Galway to Dublin and all below that, south of that. And when you go north of that, well, there's very little in terms of from Galway right up to Belfast in terms of the very basic when it comes to motor infrastructure. And that may be where I will begin my presentation to you here today. I would like greater clarity in terms of the timescale for the delivery of the N2 A5 Dublin to Derry route upgrade. Its importance in terms of connectivity to the northwest for economic growth along that corridor, and I think it's important that we get explicit timeframes and timescales for the development of that in the National Planning Framework. The N2A5 Dublin to Derry route should be prioritised to full motorway status, given its strategic importance and also given the lack of any direct rail infrastructure serving significant urban areas in the northwest along that route. And dare I say, I doubt there's any further development proposed for rail development. Therefore, our road infrastructure is hugely important, something Monaghan County Council has continuously and very forcefully always represented in terms of the importance of that upgrade of the N2, not just from there's been a huge number of fatalities on that road, unfortunately, but just as one of the main corridors up into Derry through Monaghan, that N2 would be upgraded, and we need, as I said, need explicit timescales for the delivery of that. There is an explicit mention, as Deputy O'Keefe has mentioned here, for greenways and blueways, and the Ulster Canal Greenway is welcomed in terms of the delivery of that in this plan. However, the mention of the reopening of the Ulster Canal should also be included in tandem with the development of the Greenway, given its tourism and economic potential for the northern and western region, and its potential to act as a catalyst in the regeneration of a number of towns in the central border area. Minister, we so depend on that for economic and tourism development, and as I've said there, it's a platform for us to put ourselves forward. We don't have big cities like Galway, like Cork, Limerick, Galway. We depend on our natural heritage and our natural architecture, if you like, of the area. It's there, it's to be developed, it's to be tapped into, and I want to see that named, mentioned, subscribed to, committed to the Ulster Canal, the reopening of the Ulster Canal along that route, in tandem with the Greenway, which I say is welcome. But more importantly, I think too, the Greenway is the Ulster Canal, and I certainly hope that because the Greenway has been initiated, that doesn't mean that the Ulster Canal is dead in the water. The east-west link corridor is a proposed plan that is being brought to design stage and sitting on a desk gathering dust, and I don't see any mention of that particularly in this National Planning Framework. I think that would be a massive mistake, the east-west link, to open up Dundalk, right through Monaghan, through Cavan and on over to Sligo. Again, as a border area and a border region, we are totally dependent on that. There has been a lot of work and investment to bring it to design stage. There's more work to be done on that. There's routes to be decided on. I want to see, as do both of my local authorities, that is absolutely critical, crucial, imperative for the development of the border region, that we actually see that named in there as part of your plans for the future. The upgrade of that Dundalk, Cavan, Sligo, east-west strategic route is very important for the border region. It is currently a heavily trafficked, poorly aligned route, serving significant FDI and Indigenous businesses moving goods from Dundalk to ports in Northern Ireland and right over to Sligo. The upgrade of the strategic economic growth in the region is stifled because of not having that. And as I said, without repeating myself, I think it's hugely important for that region to have that named and, as I said, a time scale for and a commitment to in this national planning framework. Cavan Town is named as one of the main areas that will deliver in terms of jobs, in terms of education, in terms of housing. And for 25 years, Cavan Institute has provided the highest quality of education for people both in Cavan and far beyond that. As recognised in the draft planning framework, Cavan Town is positioned to act as a principal town in terms of housing, job and education delivery to address the low level of third level qualifications in the sub-region and enhancing the talent base. There is a clear opportunity to build on Cavan Institute's foundations in the national planning framework to establish an institute of technology in the town to serve this region. And again, Minister, I think it's something that absolutely must be addressed in this particular plan. So I suppose in conclusion, recognition of the growth towns and counties in the national planning framework and regional, spatial and economic strategies to ensure that growth continues is important. Recognition that the previous investment imbalance in the region needs to be corrected in this national planning framework, and a commitment to upgrades in the N3, the N4, the N5, A2 and of course the east-west link corridor. Again, Minister, in County Cavan, and you know best, in terms of the N3, it comes to an abrupt stop when we get to the Meath border. Meath is, and I travel it every day myself coming here, and it's made a fantastic difference to County Meath. It has opened it up, and it's like Cavan are the second-class citizens when it comes to the delivery of national primary routes, and we have no motorway leading into Cavan Town, and Cavan Town brings you right up to that border hinterland. It's hugely and crucially important that we see the upgrade of that as well, and as I said, if you look at that map, you can see how it comes to that abrupt stop at the Meath-Cavan border, and I think it would be a missed opportunity, and considering this plan to bring us up to 2040, it must be addressed and must be brought into this plan as well. And finally, just to reiterate the point that the third level facility in the centre is central to the border area, and the identification of Cavan Institute is strategically placed to establish an institute of technology in the town. Cavan Institute has grown very rapidly over the last number of years to the point that it's bursting at the seams, and it needs that recognition. It needs to be brought that step further. Minister, any students who are attending that, they all have to leave home, so we have a brain drain, if you like. We're losing that skilled workforce. We're losing all those students who perhaps want to go on to third level, want to do their masters, want to do their PhD, and you and I both know in today's world you're going nowhere without that degree. It needs that recognition, it needs that upgrade. Yeah, and I just like your response to those particular issues that I've raised here today.
Thanks, Deputy.